And welcome back. Bruce Porter and Will Worsham continue our discussion on estate planning. Okay, earlier you said, you'll be gone. You're not going to worry about it. However, there's a lot of in-between time many times. I mean, we're living longer, therefore care is going to last longer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we don't, that's something that many people ignore. They plan for what's going to happen to my stuff, my estate, after I pass away.
Right.
But more and more we're finding there's a period of time when we're still with us, we're still alive, we're just not really capable of taking care of our own affairs.
You may be physically there.
Physically there, but
Right.
maybe mentally not all there.
Right.
And that's a bigger and bigger place where planning has to take place. And you know, a lot of times you get on Google, you get on an online service, or you get a cheap plan, they're just going to crank you out a will. And you're like, okay, great, I've got a will, but that doesn't take care of any of the problems that we've been discussing.
We have talked so many times about wills, and it's like, yeah, that's fine, but there are so many buts to a lot of things unless you know which path you want to go down.
Having the documents that will handle your affairs and having a plan that your affairs can follow, your financial affairs. Being able to say with authority, I have structured everything with documents and with my financial planning to where I can afford this scenario if that pops up. A lot of people haven't thought that far ahead. Everybody says, I've got to get this all fixed up so when I die, my family's not going to fight. Well, that's great, but what if you don't die? That's, you know, that creates an expense that is unplanned, unexpected usually, and there's lots of issues with that.
It sounds like it could almost lead to more fighting.
Well, it can, because, you know, the longer you're in, the more stress it is on the family, the more stress it is on the finances. And financial stress at any age creates problems, right?
Oh, yeah. They've shown that time and time again.
Absolutely.
All ages. It has nothing to do with, you know, just being a retirement age or anything like that. It goes across the board. I think a lot of people go, this sounds almost like when you go to a dentist. It's like if the tooth is bad, just get it over with. It's a good idea to start planning like now. Don't wait until it's all crumbling apart.
Well, I think that's an important thing to point out is, you know, when we're talking especially about some of these long-term care options, the sooner you put those plans in place, the cheaper they're going to be. Because you get to buy a policy when you're younger, you get to fund them sooner, and so it makes more sense to start sooner. And nothing about the estate planning we do, generally speaking, is locked in stone. So it's not like you have to make one plan and can never change it. We do all of our plans primarily, except for certain circumstances where we need to. Right. They're in revocable trusts, which means you can change them.
Anytime.
Anytime you want.
Now, you wrote a book about some of this stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's all about planning.
Yeah.
You know, trying to find the courage to retire is very important. It's structuring your retirement to where you can afford the comfortable lifestyle at the level you want. But what if you had a stroke? What if something happened? What if dementia became an issue? You know, one way to think about it, I was easy as a child. I'm convinced of it. Right?
I have no witnesses to say otherwise.
Remember how fun that was raising our children,
Sure.
right? And our parents might or might not agree.
Yes.
But what happens when the time comes that your parents become your children?
Exactly.
And financially, it's a huge burden on us. Should I take off work? Should I suspend my career so I can devote time to my parents and their care? Then that, you know, you got to think through that.
Yeah.
Structuring some type of planning, a combination to where you can handle those types of issues. That is what it's all about.
That's what keeps you a parent. You're still worried about, you know, you want to take fear away from your children. You want to take stress and worry away from them. This is possibly one of those last acts that you can have a direct effect on.
Well, and the other thing that you want to do is you want to take some of the angst out of some very difficult decisions they may have to make on your behalf. And so when we do the plans, we leave them very specific instructions about what type of health care you want to have continued if you wind up in a situation where you have no quality of life. You know, should we withhold treatment? Should we put a do not resuscitate order on the chart? Should we take away nutrition and hydration and just let nature take its course, or not? But you can take the struggle off the kids of having to make that decision and potentially fight about that decision, because you can just say, hey, mom and dad left us instructions what they wanted.
Okay.